that's the.
We can start talking about it, we probably won't decide anything.
No.
tonight, I'm
No.
guessing, or whatever.
I just want
I'm
everybody to know what the problem is.
And then
It's-
he's got a copy of Liverpool's in here, so I wondered
Okay.
if he was looking for something.
I didn't get that, did you?
Are you all actors? Okay. Nice going.
She's got acting school going on upstairs for the rec.
That's pretty important stuff.
Dan, you ready? Call the meeting to order. No, we're not doing a pledge of allegiance till the
sorry.
regular meeting. So
Okay.
this is the budget workshop. This is where we're going to go. What I'd like to do is go through the revenue side and then the expense side, then we can make any of our changes or corrections that we want to make that we've talked about. So let's
Okay.
start with the revenue side. So should have page 1 dated today. Well, at least the one I have is dated today.
Yeah, no, I'm
Um,
just looking to see if I have this, I think I have the same one.
So the property tax, so we're all the way over to the right.
I don't have mine.
You don't have your budget worksheets?
Or the budget itself is all I got, or I got the worksheets, so
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
hold
going
on,
by the
let's
budget.
see.
Well, it's everything that you had up to this date.
Yeah, nothing's changed, so.
No, I have all those, this is just the one I'm working off of tonight.
Here, Pam.
Here you go. Revenue?
I don't want you to go mark your numbers over there, so.
I didn't see
Yeah.
anything in my.
There we go. Well, this is the one we've been working off of. Okay, so, any questions on the real property tax, which is that's basically our assessed value times the $7.20 per thousand.
Yep.
Okay. Next is the interest and penalties on property taxes. We took it down just because we wanted to be a little bit more conservative on that, even though I think that number probably will go above because
Okay.
with COVID still hurting. Good evening, Michael. Utility tax, so the first utility tax is, that's phone and cable, so phone first franchise. And we took that down even more because that's more in line, as less people get landlines and more people go to cell. So, any questions on that?
Nope.
Could
Clerk?
it go even lower?
What's that?
I was just wondering how, will it keep going lower each year?
Well, it
Probably.
depends on what people, we get a percentage of, when people have that service. So, as less and less go to, say, a different type of service, yeah, it could go down.
Mhm.
Yep. Next is department income, clerk fees down a little bit. Ambulance revenues, we're actually trying to figure out where this number is going to be. We think this is a good conservative number. So we took it down even 100,000 more. That number to hit this year is still going to be even harder than we think, So even though if you look at the weekly report, they're coming back, we're still down
Right.
50 calls from the previous year. So, and then the zoning, that's just people coming to the zoning board or the
Yeah.
planning board. So we kept that down just because the activity has come down.
And
Any-
the inflow and infiltration is gone
We don't
because
have it
we're
anymore.
not doing
Right.
that anymore, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Correct. Next is the intergovernment, and this is the school district and the Village of Manoa money.
Okay.
And that's pretty constant to what it was the year before. Fire services, because the ambulance revenue is down, the expenses were, up and down, but overall, their contract price is down 100,000 compared to the year before. And that's based off the worksheets that Lori has done,
Okay.
that the town provides. Any questions? Okay. Oh, I broke my
Said you're
mask.
very good.
I
Got
broke
another?
it.
Do you need a new one, or are you good with the divider?
I'm fine with the divider, I have my shots.
No, I
if
have Dan to my
anybody's-
right, so I'll have to get another one.
Oh.
Interest and earnings, reserve interest, and rental on property. We
Oh,
did
great.
take the cottage or the recreational building up, and incrementally, not anything crazy. It's about $125 a month more. So we're very, we're at that rate that he thought we could get. So, next is permits and licenses for the code. Even though it's higher, or even though it's probably gonna hit the number that we budgeted, I think that was a good conservative number to put it at. Thank you. Appreciate that, Lori.
We raised that last year, right?
Well, it depends, like, the 24 was an odd one because there was, I think, a big project or something that happened. Oh, the Honda dealership, or, something like that. So you don't have that, so we don't really recommend. So, the court, we did take down to 33,000, so, and right now, they're averaging about 3,400 a month, so I think that's a more obtainable number than, we were in the high 50s, 60s.
3,400 a month is 36.
Right, but,
40,000.
I know, but I wanted to be on the conservative side.
Better to have it come in a little higher than what we budgeted,
Yeah,
if
it's
that's
quick.
possible.
Yeah, he was in that teacher.
Just impressed.
And then scrap of excess materials, sale of equipment, insurance recoveries, that's, obviously down because you don't budget for those things to happen, so. Next is refund of prior year's
you, guys.
expenditures.
Thanks.
And that's, mostly that's our labor, or our utilities that we get through the BOCES. Usually we get a check back. Gifts and donations we took down because the previous year we were down. But I will say that the newsletter going to every resident has helped. We're having good days, so that number's probably a little bit low, but I think we'd rather be low than,
Conservative, right?
yeah, exactly. Next is the VIP money and also the DEER money. So the VIP is 575 or 574, and then 20,000 for the county from the DEER money. So that's 594. Next year, I think we see an increase in revenue from the VIP program.
Every so many years.
It goes 3 or 223 or 322. So we've got to find that, but there should be an increase next year. And then state aid has not changed. Mortgage tax with the real estate market the way it is right now, Lori and I looked and felt like that was a good, even though we've gotten more this year, we think, it's gonna cool off a little bit. And then with the rates being low, we figured that was a good number. Any questions? So then we go into the CHIPS program. That number is the number that we received from the state last week. Youth programs is what we get through a grant program that we apply for every year. We did not apply for community development, or we did not put it in here, even though we've applied for it. There's several applications, so we're not guaranteed a project. So I think we're better off not putting that in there. But if we get it, then we can accept the grant,
Yep.
and the expense will wipe it out. So with the changes in the revenue lines and the budget, which I'll go through after we're done, the carryover is now $44,490. When Lori and I sat down and looked at it, it was closer to the $220,000 mark. So we're actually going to be carrying over about $180,000 that we don't need. That goes back into the general fund.
Right.
Everybody understand there's general fund money sitting there. This is really carryover money that we did not spend in the budget. So, but we need to replenish some of our savings, so that money just goes back into the general fund. to
Did you
increase
say
the
it was
general-
180
Probably gonna be in that 180. It depends on what we spend
plus or
going
minus?
out. What's that? Yeah.
Plus or minus.
And that was due partly to the budget freeze we put in, the hiring freeze, and other factors. Any questions on the revenue side? Okay, so when we go to the appropriations side, let me just first say, there's been 4 changes that have been made in this budget. The insurance, remember we agreed to do the workman's comp for a 2-year program? That number is reflected in this. So we need to make a motion to accept that change in our workman's comp section of the budget, which reduced the cost.
So moved.
Moved by Pam.
Second.
Need a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is we added the lease striker, which is in 3411.2, and then took the contractual down. So with the savings from the insurance and the striker lease, it actually turned out to be a wash. So remember the lease that the chief wanted to do the AEDs, the life packs, the stretchers,
Right.
that whole lease program in this budget now with the insurance savings actually, and less lease or less maintenance costs turned out to be a wash. So there was, what we saved on insurance and what we paid for more on the striker lease, they leveled out.
Okay.
So there was no cost. So we need to make a motion to go ahead and approve that lease striker change in 3411.2 and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with Stryker.
So moved.
Second.
Everybody understand? So now that number will be the same for the next 10 years in his budget.
The lease and the
The
thing
lease,
of it.
yes.
Yeah.
So we don't have any ups and downs of the life packs or the AEDs. or
Right.
Okay. Any other questions?
And that's the life of those things.
Yep.
Basically.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next is the VFBL as part of that insurance got changed in 3 accounts. So fire station, fire department, and EMS. So we need to make that motion to accept that decrease in the VFBL cost.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, we had talked about it, we were gonna wait till we got closer to the budget to see the impact. So I had Lori do this today. So we had talked about these people that weren't in as part of the initial package. So if we wanna do this, this is a 2.5%. So we need a motion to go ahead and add these totals to the accounts. Obviously, this will take our carryover from 44
Right.
to 52,
Right.
but we need to
So,
make a motion.
Make a motion that we increase these non-union wage employees by 2.5% as presented to us.
Okay. Moved by Mike.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Everybody else is under a contract
I don't see Lori on there.
because we talked about that at the last meeting. So, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So there's what, we hadn't made that change in this budget, but everything else is already in this budget. So let's go through the appropriations. We'll start with A 1010.1.
The tears are in my eyes again.
Don't, it's only on paper.
I know, you better be
A
here.
10.10.1. Any changes?
So I would make,
I would, oh yeah. I don't really understand what is taking place here.
So-
2 years ago, we got an increase. I suggested that we didn't take an increase. Now, we got a decrease, and
So my initial idea was to fund the Fayetteville Cares, a new Fayetteville Cares program, which would give money to 4 nonprofit groups in the village to help residents, only village residents, in Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, Christmas Eve, with gift or dinner baskets or food baskets to help these. And the PBA would be part of it, the Firemen's Association, the Senior Center, and the Recreation Commission. So 1,000. This is just an idea that I came up with. 1,000 from the trustees, 1,000 from myself out of my salary line, and 1,000 from the general line. And that 3,000 we would give each group $750 for that. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. I just thought it was. I see many communities giving back, and I understand their concerns about giving taxpayer money, but I see a lot of communities do a lot of things, and for some reason, these groups aren't able to fundraise, or they have struggles fundraising.
so my comment on that, and I told you some of my thoughts, but there's another thought that came to mind. One is, there's lots of people out there that already are doing these things for members of our community, through the churches, through the county, through the state, through the Salvation Army, through the Rescue Mission, through wherever, organizations that are already geared towards doing this type of thing. I don't know that it's a taxpayer burden to tell the taxpayers where they should make a contribution, and basically we're making a contribution in order to do this. My other flip side to this is, these organizations that we're giving money to are already charitable types of organizations. I kind of have a problem when a charitable organization is asked to give another charitable organization a gift or sponsorship of something and things like that. So although I know they don't maybe do these things. The PBA currently gives out food because that's on part of your donation.
Yeah, they do a shop for the cop or whatever.
But they also do it on your thing. If you join the police the PBA, there's a thing on the card about giving money towards food. I kind of have a problem when charitable organizations are expected to be charitable organizations to others when they're trying to make money and be a charitable organization themselves. So, and I do kind of have a problem when it comes to the idea that they are picking out people. I don't know what the criteria is. I don't know, I would much rather not do it right now and maybe see if there's a way to plan on an application process or something that people could maybe, that make it not just them picking out a poor family or what they perceive as a poor family compared to any other criteria for it in general, I guess. It's kind of new to me, so it's these are kind of just thoughts. I don't have like I wish I could just sit here and say, this is how I'd like to see it administered or work or whatever. I don't have that plan, but those are kind of my thoughts on it in general.
Okay.
I don't disagree with like the conceptual idea of it. I just don't know if I'm ready to commit to something like that without some more parameters.
And I'm not, we can disagree to just.
No, I'm not arguing
Nobody's
that.
doing it in this community. Nobody is doing it. They're not doing it right now, and they're not doing it because I think that somebody hasn't stepped up and said, here's the money. You don't have to go out and take money out of your budget. You don't have to go raise money for it. We're going to give you the $750, $500 seed money to do this program. I understand your point, and you're right. There's a lot of unknowns. But I also think we give money to the food pantry. So we're giving money to charitable organizations now. So
Well, the food
I
pantry
agree with-
has parameters as to how you get food
Right.
from the food
Maybe
pantry.
we work with the
They
food
already
pantry to get those
have
names.
something or whatever.
Right, and
you
there's a
know,
need.
That's how you have to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
My objection is, are you done, Mike?
Yeah, no. I mean, just those are,
My objection is, initially, I understand that you're responsible for this budget, and I totally, thank God,
Right.
You and Lori. But, I wish that when you came up with the idea, you would have presented it to us before it ended up in the budget.
It was presented in my top 10 goals this year. If there's a Fayetteville CARES Act is number 6.
And we talked to you afterward.
Right.
And you said there might be some adjustments.
Right. Oh, no, yeah, no.
No, okay, so that's.
So if you want it, let me know. If you guys want to put the money back in the budget, that's
No,
fine. I can
it's-
put it back to 25,000
I
if you
didn't
don't
say
want to
that.
do it.
Mark, it's not about whether or not we're charitable. It's about whether it's the function of the village government to create a charity function. And I just don't think it is.
Then you have to take out the money for the food pantry.
And I would happily do that. I don't think
And
it's our.
but I disagree with that.
I don't
disagree
think it's
with
our
that.
job to fund charitable organizations.
It's not, you're not funding a
It's-
charitable organization, you're helping them do a program.
But we're a government. We're spending taxpayer dollars. So I just don't agree with that concept. I think that people need to be charitable. We're very charitable people.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so that's my opinion on it.
I
I just assume take it out.
agree.
So we'll increase the line, village board line back to $25,000. Need a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, the Village of Justice, we just made a change in that account for the labor line to reflect that change. Any other changes? Next is the mayor's account. I would like to keep that $1,000, and I will put that towards that program on my own. So, any other changes to that account?
Well,
No, I can do
No,
it on
mean,
I can do it out of my
don't-
salary.
I don't agree.
no,
Yeah,
I knew you weren't gonna
again,
agree.
you're,
No, once again.
I think you gotta go back
No,
to the premise.
Because
No,
2
I
or
can-
3 years ago.
So I
when
can make, I know you fought for.
2 or 3
I
years
know.
ago, when I said we shouldn't take this, I said you should take it.
I understand that, but I also think it's a good program.
Well, I
think it's a good idea, and I think I want to.
then
Well, then
I
I
think you
think
should
we-
write $1,000 check out of your own checking account.
There you
and
go.
Fund it on your own. and get paid the
That's-
way it is. It just,
Okay.
number one, it's just as beneficial. It's gonna
I
go to the
think
same
you-
places, and
That's right. And-
just
and
like I'm gonna write checks to charitable organizations
I'm
like
gonna
I
write a
always
check
do.
to someone, if they could give it to, go to the food bank and see who needs it and have it come from an organization I'm gonna give it to. I'll be happy to do it.
I don't even know if it's appropriate for us to be querying who needs aid in the community.
We
Then you
don't.
can't give money to the food pantry.
But
How
the
much
food-
simpler can I make it then?
But the food pantry has.
No, you're giving it to a charitable organization. You can't, you're talking on both sides of your
No,
mouth on this.
I already said earlier that I didn't agree with that either.
Okay.
But
Well, I
I'm
don't-
saying that those organizations, if someone's in need and has a need for any kind of government assistance, it's a private thing between them and whatever agency they're working with. It's not up to us to go to the food pantry and say, hey, tell us what people need this help.
That's not what the program was, so.
But that's the only way you're gonna be able to find
No,
out.
it's not.
Someone's gotta
No,
tell
it's
us.
not. It was gonna go to those organizations, those 3 or 4 organizations, and say, you come up with a list of people that, in the village that need help through
But
your
only
contacts.
in the village.
Yeah, it's village taxpayer money.
Yeah, but I don't know how they can do that.
They can't.
I don't know how they can find the poor people to give it to. And I'm not saying that in
It
any
doesn't have to
bad
be,
way at all.
people that need help.
All
that-
right,
that
I
need-
don't know how they can find the
So
people
say,
that need
let's
the
just say
help.
it's, I'm just saying, $250, let's say.
Right.
Let's say I have 4 holidays that, say the $1,000, I say, I'm gonna write a check. The idea was to go to the Firemen's Association and say, okay, here's $250. Say an average meal, Thanksgiving meal costs
Well, even if you gave people $50,
$30,
so they could have
$50,
something
right.
to do. But
Go
there's
out and
5
give
people.
5 needy families in the community. That's 5 families that they're, because they're raising money, they're spending all their time raising, they're raising money to give back. All these organizations are
Right.
raising money, except for the recreation, but the PBA, the Firemen's Association.
Right,
So
I
it's
under-
just helping them with seed money to give back more, because they're not doing it now. They're not. None of the organizations are doing something like that, and other communities are. So I was just trying to create a program to incentivize these non-for-profits to help these without having to dip into their fundraising or dip into their money. That's all I'm trying to do, is help people. And there's people out there that need help.
Well, I wanna help people just
And
as
I would
badly
much
as the next
rather-
person, Mark, so
I would much
don't.
rather create a fund that is known by people, that you can write your check for 1,000, I can write my check. I can't write off, if I pay it in a tax bill, I can't write off a charitable contribution, I pay it right off my taxes. But if I write the check to an organization or to whatever, to this fund, I think that's a better way to go about doing it. I don't know that taxing people is the right way to do it. So if you want a motion about whether we should even create such a thing, I guess we can consider that. But I just don't think it's a taxpayer, I don't think that we should force it on people to make contributions to whatever. And by, whether you take it out of your salary, we take it out of whatever part of this budget, they're basically paying taxes to make a charitable contribution to an organization. I make charitable contributions all year long, and other people do too, and people in this community do too. And not everybody gives to the same stuff, I understand that, but I would much rather see us start it out with seeing if we could create a fund that was separate from the budget, separate from the village, just a contribution, and you write it to the organization and say, here, this organization, you get $1,000 to work with, this organization, you got $250 or whatever, and see what you can do with it, see how
Okay.
it goes.
Okay.
I'm going to, planning on giving it to if we go the way we're going right now, that we're gonna put it back in. Planning on giving, part of that to, the senior center and pay for the meals for the people that can't, because they do put a lot of people on, so it'll help 2 organizations, it'll help them, and plus, people won't have to pay. That's where mine's going.
I think it should be about the people who receive it, not about who's giving it. If you know what I mean.
Pam, nobody's doing it. That's the problem I'm having. You guys talk about it, and you're right, all of us do give in our
Well,
way.
you're talking
But other
only
people are
about-
not giving, that these organizations are not
But I
giving
don't think
back.
You're only
taxing people
talking
is the
about
way to
who's
make them
giving
give
it.
to an organization.
But the people need it, there's people out there that need it, there is. I think we are naive to think that there's people in this community that don't need help around the holidays.
They do.
A lot of seniors
They
and a
do.
lot of other
Right.
people need help, and all I'm trying to do, guys, we don't need to belabor it. All I'm trying to do is help. Maybe this wasn't the right mechanism, but I'm trying to take and give something back to people. Because
We
you
can
can't
do
give
it
me one example of one of these
anonymously.
organizations doing it because they don't have either the funds or the time to raise more money. And that's all I
Okay.
was trying to do was take rid of that, or take two of those steps out of it, which was not having to worry about taking money out of your funds and not having to worry about raising money, and here's some seed money to help. And maybe you would kick money in, maybe they would. Like Dan says, maybe, you know.
I think that actually is very commendable of you, Mark, but I asked, you also do it too when you do
Yep.
the turkey dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand this, but also what, all the time, effort, donated turkeys and everything that's donated there, you are, able to give back that way too. So that you should feel good for that, right?
Right. Okay, any other changes to this account?
I really feel that you should get what is in the budget. If you want to then take and donate to the 4 organizations you said, that a certain amount for them to give out that way, that's up to you.
Is that in the form of a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'm not sure I knew what the motion.
He's saying go
was.
back to the 18,000.
Okay, we never had a motion to change it.
He just did. He just made that in the form of a
Well, it was
motion.
in here.
He just made a motion to
Oh,
put it back to where it is in
Okay,
the
to the
budget.
18, okay,
Yes.
gotcha, I missed.
Sorry.
okay. I didn't know it was real.
Wait.
okay.
So,
Um,
does he need a motion or not?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes,
any
because
changes
it
now
went down
need
to
motions.
17, yeah.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Aye. You're welcome.
Did you get that?
Yeah, she got it.
I got it, I didn't think I was so confused when we reduced it. but
Can't
that
see
leads
anything,
me
I'm
to
all
another
fogged up.
question
Mike's
I
got me so
wanted to
mad, I'm all
ask.
fogged up.
All right.
You don't have glasses on.
I know, I'm still fogged up. Mike's got me all fogged up.
Aye.
Oh.
Between Mike
Mark,
and
did you
Dan.
forget your readers?
Yeah, I did. All
Go-
right, so
go
clerk
past those
treasurer.
Go
I
past
got
these.
Jesus.
No, to him.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate them. Let me know if you think you like the color.
you couldn't see it.
Oh, they look good on
They
you.
look good on you.
Weather.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, Pam, this is good. This is good. What are these, Pam?
150s.
Oh, God, I'm going blind.
No,
Okay.
one and a quarter.
Any questions or changes to the clerk treasurers?
No, and that incorporates everything that we just
Yeah.
did already and
Yeah,
talked about
yeah,
last
well,
time and everything with
yeah,
everybody,
yeah,
right?
yep.
You're fine, yep.
Attorney?
Seems to be where we gotta be. I
Engineering,
guess.
again, engineering is just for expenses on anything on the village buildings. You know, hopefully we're reviewing.
We're kinda done with some of
Hopefully
that.
we're done, yeah. Next is the election. Next year there's an election, so that covers, enough to, if we want to.
Rent a machine
Yeah,
if we want
and
to.
if we want to go with the machines or not, that covers it. So.
Okay, sounds good.
Next is the public works line. Now that, we went through that, that hasn't changed at all. Municipal building, that 5,000, we're gonna start getting estimates to get it painted. And the trim
We
on the
talked
outside
about the
needs to be
trim and
traded.
that.
Yeah, just so everybody knows too, as we talked about, the roof is the original roof from 1932. So eventually it does need to be replaced. The church is actually doing this, and there's a brochure in the thing, they're doing a very, thanks. They're doing a, what is it?
It's like a rubberized slate.
It's a, but it looks just like the slate.
Well, it's kinda like how they make shingles out of vinyl siding, looks like shingles
Yes,
too, or
yeah,
whatever.
and it's
so
got a
same-
pretty good
probably
lifespan,
same
so
idea.
I was thinking, if and when the stimulus money comes through, we're gonna see how much the money, what that estimate would be to replace the roof on the municipal building without having to go out for a bond or, so we're working actually with a church that's doing it right now presently, so. Okay. Any other comments or questions on the municipal building? Senior center, so that is for their utilities and any maintenance. Hopefully there'll be less maintenance now that they have a new building. And again, that line above it is the community development. We'd have seen that. We meet on May 13th and 20th, but there's a fair amount of applications.
So we did put something in, but we're not sure.
We
we're
didn't
not-
budget for it, right?
Right, yeah,
I
got
have
it.
a question. Since we had so much time not in things like that, did some money kind of go in, back into surplus? Whose are these?
Wrong ones?
I like Pam's
Those
better.
are mine.
Oh,
Before. As far as the project, no, what'll happen is if once we're all done, and when we take the grants out and say, I'm just using a number, say we took a loan out for 500,000, but we only spent 250, we give that money back and we only bond for what we spent.
okay.
So
Were
we
you
don't,
ask-
we don't spend it just to spend it.
Were you asking about the money that goes there for just their general
Oh,
support?
no, we gave them their 49 this year.
And they have had staffing through the year and they have, just for a very short time when they couldn't use the kitchen, they did meals to go and they're back doing meals to go and stuff. So they've been serving the community and the seniors.
So it didn't really reduce the amount of, okay.
No.
It's a biggie.
They were
Alright.
still operational even though they weren't physically open to the public.
Okay. Next is the DPW, A1623. Any questions? Fire station 1624. We made all the changes. Lori had made these changes. This is part of this document that you're seeing here.
Well, 1624 didn't have any changes there.
Oh, okay.
It's in the 3410 and 34.
I thought you said the VFBL was split amongst three.
It is split in two.
Oh,
There's
two, not three.
two.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Wortley Way, that's $2,500 to cover any expenses, insurance, anything needed for the building.
You get the shot, yeah.
Central garage,
And just as the rent just goes into the general fund? Is that
General
how it
fund.
goes?
general fund.
Not specific for that building for
No.
like future maintenance or
No.
any things like that, right? Okay.
No. So if we need to do something, then we would have to come out of general fund.
Right, that's fine. I
Yeah.
just was
We
refreshing
could-
my memory.
We
We've
could
already-
change that, not, if we wanted to.
Yeah, no.
This can, for Wortley Way?
No.
The revenue.
We're not changing anything. I just ask if the revenue that we get from rent, does that go into a separate account that just goes
Okay,
into the
okay.
general fund? I'm asking in case there was like a down the road and a repair,
Right.
should we start considering something like that? Not right now, but in the future,
Okay.
Right.
because we just fixed the building all up when she moved there a couple of years ago, so it's not like it needs it right now.
Okay. Next is general government support, and that has the insurance line changed. And then municipal dues, that's for NICOM and the clerks and the mayor's association. The 9,000 is taxes on village property
Yeah, how come that's up so much?
because it's gone up that much. They reassessed the DPW garage.
Yeah.
What?
Unbelievable.
gosh.
Yeah. Well, that's-
Oh,
How could it, what?
Oh
Yeah.
my
Listen,
gosh.
I'm done beating my head against a brick wall.
Why didn't you
with the-
tell me? I
with the
would've beat
assessor.
mine.
Go ahead.
I wished I would've.
We gotta
known.
hire that company out of Buffalo to fight for us.
We left the contingency at 50,000.
I
This is
got-
what we've had the
Got
last
mine knocked down a little
few
bit.
years. So, any questions? Public safety, this is the crossing guards. Pretty much the same. And then we go into the fire department, so yeah, here's the changes in the,
That's 3410.80.
Right.
Was reduced to 15,000.
oh Pam, these aren't good. Okay. Emergency medical services, and this was changed too. Under 3411.80.
Yes.
And then you'll see where the lease is in the 3411.2. Okay. Deer management, we left in at 20,000. That will be on the next agenda to review the report. Safety,
have it.
safety inspections, okay. We just changed that number. And then the contractual expenses is the same as this year. Next is the master plan, so we need to update. It's been since 2014, so I put 10,000
Has
in
it been
there.
that long again?
Yep. What's that? It's been that long. I know it
Yeah,
doesn't
it
seem like
doesn't
it's
seem
been
like
that
it
long.
was that
So it's
long.
time to update that.
Yeah.
So, okay, DPW transportation. So this is now with Pat part-time and Danny full-time. This is the first budget year we can reflect that, so there is a change. There will be a change in that line that we just approved.
Right.
Contractual expenses didn't change from what he had asked. General repairs,
So,
next.
let's go back to superintendent. So that includes both Dan
And-
full-time
and Pat.
And Pat
Pat
at his,
part-time.
at his part-time rate of 35,000 even.
So that's not a
And
contractual.
that's as much as he can earn anyway.
That's as much, right?
Right.
And that's what we've been working under since last.
That's not a contractual.
No, it's not a contractual,
No.
it's a personal services, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
General repairs, same as last year. Chips is what we thought we were getting. Snow removal, the 20,000, we didn't change anything on this. But he did come to us with
For what one?
the snow
51,
removal.
42.
That's the Bobcat. So that you'll see some changes after we adopt the budget, but it's got the broom, which makes complete sense for the sidewalks and for the pond. So what he's trying to do, but it won't affect this budget at all.
No, he wants it in this budget, I believe, right?
Yes, we're gonna come back to you after we adopt this budget
Reserves, yeah.
and pay for it.
The
Pay
out
for
of-
broom
it.
will clear the sidewalk?
What's that?
The broom will clear the
Yeah.
sidewalk?
Yeah,
Even
depending
with-
on how much snow.
Or the wet snow is what I
Yeah,
was thinking.
no, you can't, yeah, you gotta have the right snow.
Yeah.
Okay, next is the street lighting.
I do mine with my leaf.
Okay.
Where'd you do?
Yep. that one.
Sidewalks, I did find out, you know what concrete is a yard now?
Box.
Expensive.
Mike, what's your guess? A yard of concrete.
How much?
Yeah. It was 65, like, say, 10 years ago.
$150.
And it's close, it's gonna be close to 200 by the end of
Yeah,
the.
I was gonna say, it
by
was
the end of the spring.
107 10
Yeah.
years ago when
Yeah,
I
I
did
met
that.
with the
That
guy who's
sidewalk
doing,
looks
I met with the
really
guy who's
nice
doing the
though,
orchard,
down
and
here,
he's,
though.
yeah, and he said, yeah.
Fibercrete was 107 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For-
So, any questions on the
Was.
transportation total? Okay, next is going to be the publicity. So this went up, but that's the $5,000.
Where are we on that?
So you,
A 6410.4.
so we have 5,000 in there for the, plus the 20. You have 2,500 in there, but it's all spent this year. But next year there'll be a total of 7,500 in the communications committee.
Are we not gonna spend that 5,000 until next year then?
No, you can start spending it June 1st, as
Okay.
soon as this budget it goes into effect. Any other questions in that? Next is parks. So that 10,000 we talked about under DPW, that's part of the truck, but then the 21,000 is in there for the maintenance of the parks. Parks and Commission, Dennis, there's another 5,000, so they haven't spent the 5 from this year, so they need to either move that into the reserve, or they need to come up with,
Well, they're working on the dog park, I thought.
I think we need to move it in a reserve right now.
yeah, did we get the other quotes on the dog park?
I have 3, but 2 of them need to be adjusted. They didn't quote it correctly.
Okay.
So they fixed it.
Well, that, I'm not, we'll see, we'll talk about that at a later date as far as year end, because we also have all that playground equipment we purchased.
Mhm. So we could just
so-
take 5 out of there and then the rest,
You know-
then we wouldn't have to move it into reserves.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
however you guys want to do it. We're not going
Okay.
to spend it, I guess, this year.
Okay. Youth programs? So
It'll
this,
probably go down.
and this is, we know that there's gonna be a scaled, there is a version of it this year, but,
Yeah, there's gonna
Yeah.
be
okay. Library?
Nope, let's stop and talk about the library.
I didn't say
I
it.
gotta go get something ready.
No, you should stay here. So, listen, I have nothing against the library. It's beautiful, it's great, it's by my house, it's awesome. The library is going to collect through a referendum vote $1.922 million this year. We're gonna collect $2.4 million this year. I don't think it's really up to us or our taxpayers to pay more money to the library for some $1,500 can be put toward publicity, can be put toward parks, trees, or savings. I just don't think that I think we need to pull back as much as we can. It's not needed. They're clearly fully funded and doing pretty well based on what I can see from their financial records. They don't need ours. I think we just need to keep pulling back wherever we can. And we certainly can allocate $1,500 a lot better than they can. That's my
Anybody else?
opinion. I make a motion that we remove it.
Is there a second?
I got you there, second.
You
Haven't-
second it, Pam?
Yeah.
Second.
Okay.
Have they helped us on the communications committee?
They are,
Yeah.
but I feel a little disloyal, but I think that if they have so much money, should we, well,
The only thing I go back to on the library is the fact that years ago, the Village of Fayetteville supported the Fayetteville Library, the Village of Manlius supported the Manlius Library. I don't recall, but I'm assuming the Village of Manoa supported the Manoa Library. I believe the town also supported them to a degree. I know they had some fundraising efforts and things like that. And it was talked about and decided years ago that each of the villages in the town, because I think the town pulled out first, each of the villages would pull back from giving money to the libraries from the standpoint that we encouraged and got them to be able to put their budget up for vote with the school budget vote, and that they would set their own tax rate, so to speak, and get the money they needed to operate. Again, I guess, rather than just, give them $1,500, I guess I would agree with Dennis, maybe we put that back into the to the general fund, to the whatever. And if they actually came to us with something that was specific to Fayetteville and wanted some funding, maybe we would consider it that way, as opposed to just blanketly giving them $1,500 out of our budget, when we all voted to go against that. And I know we put it back in for reasons, but I do agree with Dennis, if they have a budget that's very, very close to ours, and they don't run the whole village out of that budget, that's a lot of money to consider, and again, taxpayer dollars to consider.
well, right
that way.
now, Mike, they do specifically use that money, at least they did during COVID, to make these little at-home coloring kits for kids to pick up and use at
Okay, well,
home.
if I had $2 million, I think I could make a lot of
Right,
kits
no,
for kids.
I
mean,
understand what you're saying. I
I'm not-
wonder, at all, well,
And they increased their referendum vote by, their increase in taxpayer revenue was up 1.5%.
I can't see them feeling at all hurt by it. The only alternative, I think, if there would be any bad blood for it, is if we just say, go down to $500 or something like that, and then eventually cut it off.
I just think we can do better with it in our own village.
Well, I agree, but I will second it,
No, she
because I think
seconded
it's
it.
the
She-
most.
No, we're
important.
She
still in
agrees.
discussion, we
I wanna
haven't,
make sure that I got
right?
the-
Well,
Right.
I would like to know,
We were just trying to, there was a divide
which.
between the two organizations, and we were trying to bridge that divide. Now, I know there's a new director and there's a new board, and, that $1,500, they didn't just, they did, I thought they did the right thing, and they did something nice with it. And, so I thought we would leave it in there, no increase, but, but listen at this is why we have these discussions, and this is why we have these votes.
It's not that I necessarily agree with not giving them, but when we vote on the budget, the school budget, everybody gets to vote on Manlius and Fayetteville libraries. But in the old days, when they didn't have it in that, we were the ones that supported them with that much help from the town. And most of the people that use the library was expense. I'm doing everything with my hands now. And then the town decided they don't want to do it anymore, and that's what they did. And we were still supporting it, and that's when they went to the other thing. I don't mind giving them $1,500, but if we decide that we don't want to, I respect how Dennis feels, and I just don't want to take it out of here, because maybe in a couple of years, they will have some hardships, and I want them to be part of the budget. But for this time.
Well, I think Mike made a good point that it could be set aside in general funds, and if they come to us with specific reasons or
The thing that bothers
something,
me
it's
is,
different.
it's the same way with the senior center, it's the same way with many of the things. Village of Fayetteville, thanks to Mark and thanks to Mike in a lot of cases, historic, library, senior center, this place and that place, who else does it?
I'm
If you do it, raise your hand. My hand's up.
Yeah.
I'm on board with Dennis and Mike that if they come forward with a need, a specific request.
A hardship.
Okay.
So
That's different.
Is this an
hardship.
option, and this is just if we're talking the way we're talking, then do we leave it where it is, Lori? And then if they come to us, we have a place to take it from rather than to spend it out of just general funds?
And because we don't have an agreement, or we're not, like we do with the senior center, how we have an agreement with the
Right.
senior center, we do with the,
Right, so if there's a proposal that they want to make to us, if we left it here in the budget, we could just leave it here, and if not, it would just roll over into the end of the year type of thing, right?
Yes.
So that might be
Yeah,
if you
I'm
agree
along
with
with
something
that.
like that, leaving it in, but not just handing
That's
it
fine.
over to them until they have something that they
I can
would
live
like
with
to
that.
do for the Village of Fayetteville residents, I'd be comfortable with that scenario. And it accommodates Dan's thoughts of if we wanted to do it in the future, we'd not like disbanding it altogether
Yep.
right now.
Okay.
And also, if we have a need or something comes up, then that money's still there. I mean, let's face it, we have needs and challenges in our village right now that, we're addressing, but it's not easy. So, it's,
So you need to rescind your motion then?
no, I mean,
Well, then-
because we would normally pay that out.
Oh, okay.
No,
So I'll
no, we're
amend my
saying- no,
motion.
Lori's saying that,
To say,
I'll amend
Lori's-
my motion to say that we're only going to, use that $1,500 to the library if they can demonstrate some sort of need for it.
Okay.
but we were gonna leave it in the
Yeah.
budget to do
Right.
that.
Right,
If they
right.
don't, then we don't pay it out, and it can be used for, other uses in the village per our discretion.
Okay. Do you amend your second, Pam?
Yes, I do. Say amend the.
Yep. All in
My
favor?
hi,
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Historic programs? Okay. Village clock keeper? Celebrations? Other performing arts? Programs for aging? Sanitary sewers? These are all, they haven't changed. Storm sewers, refuge and garbage, street cleaning, trees. Laura, you have that bill, right? Okay. Tree commission? Community beautification? Any questions, changes? That increase in that was just because that was the new price that we were paying, so
Right.
that just reflects the current value of what we pay.
are you gonna mention, nice note for Mary Ann Winters?
Yes, all of you got the email, but I did send her a handwritten note saying thank you very much on behalf of all of us for that very generous donation and very nice comments, so.
Yeah.
I hope
That-
to
that
see
was
her
nice.
soon at a meeting. Employee retirement, police and fire, pension, social security, workman's comp, unemployment, disability, hospital, medical, payments in lieu of health insurance, and 207A payments. Any changes or corrections or questions on those? Any questions on debt service?
Well, I had one, I didn't really, the unemployment it went from 1,000 to 5,000, am I looking at the right?
Yeah, if you look, we paid 4232.20 this year,
Oh, okay.
so Lori was just correcting the amount.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Debt service, we went over the schedule. DPW lease purchases, state loan, that's for the sewer system. Don't forget that sewer system, I think the 200 is just in a separate account that we got. So we are funding it in this. We could always move that 20 out of, if we needed the money, we could move it to a reserve, so. you know, we could take
Yeah,
next year if we
I'd
wanted to pay, next year if we wanted to pay the 20 out of that reserve, we
Yeah,
could.
yeah.
I didn't do that in this budget, so
Alright.
we had that if we ever wanted to do that.
Okay.
But I was figuring, let's get to the point where there's only 200 left, then we'll take the money and
Yeah.
just pay it off.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then we're done.
We're good.
All right, any questions or changes? Anything else?
So because we made those couple of adjustments in salaries, do we need to take anything off of any place else, or?
No, it's just gonna change the carryover number.
Okay, no, that's fine. I didn't want to not do something if we needed to do something, that's all.
So we're in good shape.
I wanted to ask.
So we will take a 10-minute break before the 6 o'clock. Come back for the regular meeting. I gotta throw my mask out.
I got some in my car if you want them.
The only problem with these is they're just hot.
They're itchy.